Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Curtis. Today we are ready to start part 2 of our awesome bear in a sweater drawing. Today we're going to be adding something called implied texture. Implied texture means that we're going to make our bear look like he feels furry. So we're going to add lines to create the illusion that there's fur all over our bear. Now we know in real life that it's just a sheet of paper with colors on top, but we're going to give the illusion that there's actually fur. So for this part of the drawing, I want you to either use a crayon or a marker. And you can choose whatever color you want, but make sure that it's a darker color, like a brown or a black for your picture. And I'm going to go ahead and use a dark brown. Now, to create implied texture, we're going to create the fur that is on our bear. When we do this, we're going to go around the objects in our picture. So we're going to start by going around his eye. And I'm just going to start making lines going out all around his eyeball like this. Just like that. And then I'm going to make another row that kind of sit in between the first row. Just like that. I'm going to go over to this side and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to create those lines to look like fur. All right, I'm going to go around with a second row. Creating texture, implied texture to make it look like fur. All right, now I'm going to go around his snout and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go out in lines all the way around his snout. And I'll make one more row. So I started with the objects first. Now that I have the objects on his face with their fur, we're going to fill in the rest of the space around it. And we're going to keep going in the direction that these lines were already going. So around his eye, I'm going to keep going and make another row. And these two lines are going to start to connect on his forehead there. And I'm going to go all the way till I get to the edge of the bear. Now I'm going to keep going on his face here, all the way to the edge. I may even add another row along the bottom here. So I'm creating implied texture. I'm making these lines to make it look like my bear has fur. And we'll do the same thing above his eyes. I'm going to start to make those lines go up. There we go. Now in his ears, there's an area in the bear's ear that doesn't have any fur. That's the opening inside of his ear. So I kind of have to imagine where that could be. If you still have your pencil, you could put a line, a little curved line inside of there first, and you could do it around that. So I'm going to start around that, and I'm going to put those pieces of fur going around. Kind of like a rainbow shape. And then I'm going to make another row all the way till I get to the edge of his ear. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. There we go. Doesn't it look like my bear is nice and furry now? I love it. Okay, the last step is going to be coloring in the negative space around all of these pieces of fur. I don't want to use the same color that I used to make the fur because I want the fur to stand out. So I'm going to put this dark color away and I'm going to pick out a light color brown to go with it. Let me find one. All right, this looks like a good color. And I'm going to start to color. Now, it'd be really hard if I tried to color around each of these pieces. So I'm just going to color right on top of them really lightly. And you can see how the darker color still stands out even though I'm coloring on top of it. So I'm going to add that brown all over his face. I'm just filling in all of the negative space around those pieces of fur. I'm even going to color his snout. Even though I didn't put any texture, implied texture on his snout, I'm still going to color in the negative space on here as well. And the inside of the ears, I'm going to color them in, but I'm going to make them a different color. So I'm going to use just kind of a lighter peachy color for the inside of his ear, just to add a little more interest to it so he's not all the same color. There we go. Now that we're done creating all of our implied texture and coloring the negative space around it, the last part is going to be to color in your bear sweater. So I am going to finish coloring my bear sweater. I want you to finish coloring yours. Don't forget, when you are done, you are going to send a picture of your bear to me in Canvas. I cannot wait to see what your bear looks like. I'll see you later. Bye.